Hey, welcome to the show this afternoon. We'll be live in 60 seconds on IBGR. So sit back, relax. Thanks for joining the show today. We're going to be talking about the new year and how to plan and make the most of the year ahead. So we'll be right back in just a minute. What a year. As I look back on my own 2020, I recognize far more good than I remembered. How can we build towards a bold start to 2021? On episode 11, we're going to cover how to build a more resilient team, prepare for more effective meetings, improve communication in your virtual team, and wrap up your year with a personal 2020 retreat. It starts today with building your toolkit and having the right reflections. Let's start preparing for a big new year. Welcome to the New Generation Leader on IBGR, where we are building your toolkit to take your leadership to a brand new level. And here today, we are getting ready to ring in the new year. Good afternoon, New York City. And what city in North America embodies the new year more than New York City? So whether you are listening in New York or across the US, around the world today here on IBGR, welcome to the IBGR network, where we are more than just a radio station. We are a network broadcasting 24 hours a day around the world. And I am excited for our conversation today. I'm excited for what's coming in the new year. To be honest, as we sit back and reflect on the kind of year 2020 has been, there are a lot of jokes that we can have about this year. There are a lot of tears we could cry about what this year has held for us, the challenges, the incredible sense of loss, whether it's the lives of friends and loved ones who have fought hard and lost the fight against this virus. Maybe you've lost someone, as we did in my family, completely unrelated to the virus, but that loss was exacerbated by the experience of a pandemic, being physically distanced. But as I look back on this year and reflect on what's to come in the new year, I am invigorated. I am emboldened. I'm excited about what could come. And we're going to cover 4 key things that you can reflect on, that you can build on as you look ahead to the new year. And we're going to start in looking back a little bit and thinking about the idea of stress and resilience. As you think about stress, identifying the stress that you have, the stress you've experienced, giving a name to that. I worked with a client this morning, one of my favorite nonprofit client teams that I work with throughout the year. They reached out and said, hey, this has been a hard year. We want our people to end the year well. We want to wrap up and send them off into taking some well-deserved time away with family, with friends, to celebrate the holiday season, to ring in the new year. And so we met and had a great conversation. And one of the team members quoted Brene Brown and said, identifying, giving voice to our stress, to our challenges, might be just what we need in order to identify, own it, and craft our response. How are we going to respond to the stress and execute a resiliency strategy. And that's what we talked about. We talked about identifying our stress and then building a resiliency plan. So I want to look at it this way. One of my favorite tools, you've heard me quote this throughout the New Generation Leaders show this season, is the 5 voices. I use this tool with teams, with leaders. It helps us uncover insights about ourselves, helps us understand more about our own tendencies, how we are wired, how we process information, how we respond to the world around us. And everyone has a voice. All of us. We all have a voice. And our teams, even our families, perform best when every voice around the table is heard, deeply heard, valued, and appreciated. And as we all deal with the impact of COVID-19, we have to be even more intentional with every relationship that we have within our circles of influence. That could be how we respond even in our own internal mind games, our processing within ourselves, within our families, within our circle of friends, with our team, and with our entire business. And you can thrive by being more aware of the stresses that impact each voice, the stress behavior that each voice displays, and then respond to that with the right amount of support, the right amount of challenge to help each team member get back on track. So as we look at these, I want to turn your attention to the show notes. Go to IBGR.network. Click over to the show notes for today's show. Today's show is chock full of notes for you to follow along these 4 segments, these 4 areas that we're going to look at today. And 2 of these, the first 2 segments today, we're going to build off of the 5 voices. So there is a link in the show notes that you can go take that assessment. And after the show, begin to discover more about your own voice, how you are wired. But let's take a look at some of the common behaviors, some of the common stress responses. And first up is my voice as a pioneer, trailblazing, future-oriented, driven to change and implement a concise plan and see the team, the organization win. But under stress, pioneers who are so driven tend to fear failure. They fear failing if they can't figure it all out. And I don't know about you, but at the beginning at least, COVID-19 and the realities of a new environment in our world, there was a lot we couldn't figure out. There was a lot that we had to explore and understand and figure out. Pioneers who are also so big picture and vision oriented can get sucked down into the reality of details. Details irritate me. Checklists are a necessary evil in my mind, but I need those team members who I can lean on to make sure that they are keeping track of our details, that they are checking the boxes, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. But under stress, I get pulled into the details, and that pushes me. That pushes me harder and makes it more difficult to be that future-oriented visionary. And under stress, pioneers can dominate conversations with impatience, with anger. We can push, which is our tendency. And under stress, we keep pushing harder and harder. And what we need to do is develop that resiliency. We are persuasive, inspirational communicators. If we can cast a vision of the future and what's to come, we can help the whole team rebound. And that's what we need to see from pioneers on the team. Let's jump to connectors, those relationally driven networkers. They can see the potential, the opportunities in the people around them and the relationships that they need to form. And under stress, connectors can feel trapped in quarantine because they feel cut off from that very relational network that gives them life. So we need to help them develop creative ways to keep that network up and running. Maybe it's physically distanced, but we can hang out together. We can be together. We can find ways to stay connected even through our distancing. They also lose their normal sense of optimism, which means they can start to withdraw. They can be critical of themselves. And for connectors, if this is your voice, the power is in that relational network. We want to help you tap into the very people who give you energy in life. We want to help you set up those opportunities because your optimism, your connections will bring us into a bigger, brighter, bolder future. Then we've got the guardians. The guardians are our systems, processes people. They're going to make sure every detail is buttoned up, taken care of, make sure our team is moving forward, our organization is moving forward. And under stress, guardians who are normally so calm and process oriented can feel completely overwhelmed. Their judgment, their sense of reason can go completely out the window. And they get caught up in imagining a negative, bleak outlook on the future. They're not normally thinking about the future. And this is what's so insightful when we start to do something we don't tend to do, that we aren't wired to do. That's our stress response coming into play. And so for guardians, they can feel like things are out of control. They can feel unable to communicate their feelings. And we want to help their planning. That's their resiliency superpower, is to keep our planning coordination locked up. And we want to reinvigorate that because these are exactly the people that we need to tap into to make sure we continue to build for a brighter future. They're not going to be the ones to bring the vision, but they're going to be the ones to help keep us on track. And we've got the creatives who are always dreaming up new possibilities, but under stress, they stop thinking, they stop dreaming. We've got to give them time and space to get away. One of my friends has talked about her team and the constant Zoom meetings they are in. We're going to talk about meetings a little bit later in the show. But I think our teams are struggling with shifting into a virtual reality. And in shifting into this virtual reality, we're trying to prove our worth. And if we can't see each other, then I think our sense is we have to have a meeting. We have to be able to see each other on a Zoom screen, on a Microsoft Teams meeting, and be able to see each other to substantiate our worth. But if we just keep scheduling and filling up our time with more and more meetings, we're not going to get the best from our people. We need to have our creatives having space to dream, to think about the future. The creatives can see opportunities and threats long before anyone else. We need to help them unlock that future oriented dreaming so that they can bring us to our best. But they can also feel overly self critical, have some doubt, and escape into some sensing behaviors. We'll be right back after a short break on IBGR. Hey, thanks for tuning in to today's show on IBGR. We're on a short commercial break. We'll be back in less than 2 minutes, just about a minute and a half now, and continue the new generation leader today here on IBGR streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, all across social media. Thanks for jumping into the conversation. Feel free to leave a comment, ask a question, be part of our conversation here today as we are exploring the new generation leader new year. We want to help you wrap up 2020 really well and jumpstart a big, bright 2021. So we'll be right back here on IBGR. And welcome back to the New Generation Leader on IBGR. You're listening live across North America and around the world. We are wrapping up the year here on the New Generation Leader show today. And our goal all season is to help you build a toolbox of the tools you need to lead your team, to lead yourself, to lead your organization into this digital age and equip you with the tools you need to lead well. Well, today on the show, we are wrapping up 2020, helping you jumpstart and get ready for a big, bright 2021. And I want to invite you to go to IBGR.network, click on the website, download the show notes, and there's even a big blinking question mark that you can jump on, ask a question that we can answer live here on the show today, and jump into the conversation. There's also a great community at IBGR. We would love to have you as part of that community. There are great folks across marketing, finance, operations, people, business leadership, and entrepreneurship who can help you take your business to the next level. That's why we call it Profit Radio. We want to help you increase your profits and take your business to the next level. Well, in the opening segment, we talked about stress and resilience, and I want to add one more piece. The nurturers are those relational caretakers. And under stress, in an environment like we've been dealing with around the globe this year, nurturers are those people-oriented, relationally driven members of your team or your company who want to care for other people. And if you let them care for other people, they will function like the relational oil inside your team. But naturally, these nurturers will want to care for everyone, care for as many people as they possibly can. And the challenge for them is that they get to a point of burnout. They feel exhausted, and they can start to turn their normal optimism and hope into a sense of negativity. They become critical about themselves, about other people. And one of the challenges for nurturers, really for all of us, is to minimize the negative news feed that we're tapping into. Whether it's the daily updates on COVID numbers, politics here in North America, or perhaps in your country around the world, whatever the case is, minimize that negativity and give space and time for you to reflect, for you to take care of yourself. Tap into the best that you bring. And for nurturers, we want them to be relationally driven, relationally focused, to do that in a healthy way. If you don't know your voice, you can jump over to newgenerationleader.com/IBGR, or in the show notes today, there's a link for you to discover your voice. And as we continue talking about your voice today, I want to jump over to our second segment. We're going to talk about virtual team communication. Now, we talked about stress, about building resilience. That's something that we've had to deal with as a reality this year. Stress like never before, building resilience. But I want us to think about each of the perspectives that we bring on our team. And how do we have effective virtual team communication? And so thinking about this in terms of each of the perspectives of the five voices, let's take the names of the five voices off. You have the future-oriented people. You have the present-oriented people. Some of us are thinking about vision and future and what could be somewhere down the road. Others of us are thinking about practicalities right here, right now. What's happening right in front of me? The key for us is to bring those voices, to illuminate those voices, to help recognize what each person brings. What value do they add to our conversation? How can we unlock that potential? And then the other side is our people-oriented people. Those who are focused on relationships and connectivity from person to person, or those who are focused on vision and practicalities. I first want to talk about our people oriented voices, those on our team that we really need to tap into them to make sure, for most of us, what we are doing here in a virtual workplace is completely different than anything we've experienced before. We don't have the habits, we don't have the rhythms, and sometimes we're trying to impart a an in-person office space workplace reality into a virtual world. Virtual workplaces really are an old standby. They've been around, but COVID-19 has pushed many of our workplaces into this virtual world. We can't reproduce water cooler talk or team lunches in the same way, but we can develop some habits and rhythms in our workplace. And if we do that, we can strengthen the trust that we have. We can build on a foundation of self awareness that we have through the voices around our team. We can fight for our team members and our organization's highest possible good and bring the best from each team member. So let's take a look at a couple of the realities of how we can unlock and tap into the superpower of various perspectives on our team in a virtual world. Now, there are some practical, here and now oriented voices. These are the guardians. We've got to have them help us stay on track. Whether they're a project manager or maybe just a member of our team, there's a group I'm working with. We've been meeting probably 90% of the time virtually. And one of the things we have needed is documentation. We need the notes. We need to take away from our virtual meeting the same thing we would need to take away from an in person meeting. We've got to use a different tool set to do that. But our guardians are the ones who can glean from a meeting the goals, the expectations, the agreements that we come away with, and help us put them into practice. That stick to itiveness that we need to have. We've got to help these team members bring their discipline to our working world and continue to help us work through the tasks that can be checked off. We want to accomplish things, and the guardians will help us get there. Then we've got the creatives who are our big picture. Honestly, and I heard this from a team member earlier today, that the creatives are the ones who really are going to thrive in the virtual environment. Anyone who's more introverted is going to thrive. And so, what we need to do is draw those perspectives back into our team, back into interaction. Don't let anybody on your team get into a silo. But do recognize those folks who are quieter or more introverted and are processing things. Make sure you're tapping into their ideas. Make sure you're hearing from them. Make sure you are getting a picture of what they're thinking about, what they're looking at. And if they're stuck in meetings all day, every day, make sure they have time in front of a whiteboard, a journal, somewhere outside, some change of scenery. Help them inspire something new, a new perspective that can help them bring a new level of vitality to your team. We've got the nurturers too. They're so others focused. We've got to help them make sure that they are taking care of themselves because we need them. We need them to help make sure our team is functioning. We can also help them set some realistic expectations. Some expectations of, you don't have to care for everyone on the team or everyone in our business or even all of our clients and vendors and employees and everyone we interact with. You don't have to take care of everyone. We can share the load. but the nurture is going to want to. They're going to want to care for everybody. And so, as a business leader, helping a team member who's a nurturer understand who they can most effectively invest in, support, encourage, take care of during this season, help them define their inner circle, those people who they can keep closest. Help them focus on those folks. Because as a virtual team, you need the nurturers to care for the team. I had another client yesterday or a few days ago mention that their team, their organization is still celebrating birthdays. But what he would normally hold as a birthday celebration with cake or cookies, they have to do something virtual. So they've had to adapt, they've had to adjust, but they're still caring for people. They're still celebrating the birthdays, those special occasions. Make sure your team is doing that and tap into the nurturers to help you do that. We've got the connectors, and the connectors are going to be the ones who are going to make connections relationally. They're going to see things, see possibilities, see opportunities. I think this is a great group who you can have be the MC of a team virtual meeting. Take the lead on engaging with a potential new client. And then pioneers. Pioneers, we need their driven perspective. We need them to argue, debate, take things to the next level. We've got a balance, but they need to help us see into the future. There's some great team communication that we'll talk about more after this short break on IBGR. Welcome back to the New Generation Leader on IBGR. We are more than just a radio station. We are a network and want you to be part of the conversation going on today and always throughout the network. I invite you, again, go to IBGR.network, download today's show notes, chock full of so much happening today on the end of the show as we talk about the New Generation Leader New Year. We want to help you wrap up this crazy, weird 2020 and build towards a bright 2021. And you know what? I am excited because in my hand, last time I was live on the air, this package got delivered, the first printed copy of the New Generation Leader. We've made some changes. It's off to the printers and getting ready for full printing, but in real life, living color, here is the book, and I'm excited for this to come out in 2021. Really, I can't wait to get it in the hands of leaders to help you become the kind of leader the digital world needs you to be. And we've talked today about stress, resilience, how to build brighter, more hopeful team communication as you're working virtually. Lots of information on the show notes today about that. And here in the third segment, I'll give you a lay of the land. Here in the third segment, we're going to talk about more effective meetings for 2021. Stop having bad meetings. And then as we wrap up in the last segment, I'm going to walk you through my exact process of my 2020 end of year mini retreat. I'll tell you more about that in the closing segment as we round out the show. But let's talk about meetings. Let's talk about having better meetings. I mentioned a little earlier, one of our friends has talked about how many meetings she's in right now. And I have had weeks where I was in dozens and dozens and dozens of Zoom meetings. And one of the things, it's a challenge, frankly, for me. I'm very much a visual learner and spatially oriented. It's kind of this weird spidey sense. I can almost tell you sometimes what direction I'm facing, and I tie memories to that physical space that I'm in, what I'm seeing, what I'm watching, where I'm looking, which direction I'm facing. And yet, here we are, and I sit in the same chair, looking at the same screens out the same window in front of me that I'm talking to you from right now here on the New Generation Leaders Show. Everything happens from this command post, if you will. And it's a challenge because when I am trying to file away memories, I don't have that interpersonal interaction, that physical location, the space, the office, the boardroom table, the window I'm gazing out of as I'm pondering the deep secrets or visions and ideas that we're wrestling with as a group. It's a challenge. And there's a lot of other challenges we've been facing as teams in 2020. So let's stop having bad meetings. Let's stop scheduling meetings just to schedule meetings and prove our worth and show our boss that we're still working at a certain time. And bosses, I'm talking to you right now. If you are checking in on your people at the times that they're supposed to be working, stop. Have the trust in your people. Communicate that trust with them. Expect that they are doing their job, but also realize that they might be working 15 minutes over because they had to take an extra 15 minutes during the day. Let's loosen up. Let's stop having all of the restrictions, all of the expectations, and that starts with our meetings. Let's stop having meetings all day, every day, just to be in front of each other when we might actually have some real work to do. So I want to talk you through the outline of a new workshop. I'm calling it Meeting Slayer. Let's slay our meetings. Let's have productive ones. There's a team I've been working with over the last 2.5 years, and we have had some of the most productive meetings because we do most of the building blocks of this structure. I've added a few more pieces to what I am training teams on to have more effective meetings. But it really comes down to these 5 building blocks of effective meetings. Why are we torturing ourselves with bad meetings? Let's have good ones in 2021. It starts with the one-to-one direct report meeting. I have an entire outline that I am happy to share with you if you reach out to me. Drop a comment, send me a message. Let's talk about this. But this performance coaching model is a rhythm. There are 3 pieces that we build on week after week. But we have to have these conversations one-on-one to know what our people are doing and to have those check-ins. I can't tell you how many leaders I talk to who are not having regular meetings with their team members. If you're not meeting with your team, you're missing out. If you have those meetings infrequently, you're also missing out. But this performance coaching process, the one-to-one direct report meetings, have a 3-step process. We're going to recap our last meeting, the progress that we've made. Then we're going to talk about our current reality. And then we're going to talk about where I want to go next. 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes in each segment, no more than an hour. And then in our next meeting, we're going to pick right back up. We're going to loop back to the beginning, recap where we ended the last meeting. What have we accomplished? What have we done? Where have we gone since our last meeting? And we're going to build towards next week. This will give you an opportunity to coach, to impart wisdom, to help your team member problem solve, not for you to do their job for them. As Patrick Lencioni says in his latest book, your job is not to do their job. Your job as the leader of the business of the team is to coach them into doing their job. It's not about giving answers. It's about invigorating them, giving them the time to process, problem solve, work through with you to help you, have you guide them, to help them take their work to the next level in the week to come. Then, second part is the daily 5. 5 minutes, maybe 10 tops. In a virtual environment, just hop on a quick Zoom at the outset of the day, even stand up. Don't sit down, don't get comfortable. A quick run through. What's going on? Any problems? Anything we need to be aware of? Any fires that have popped up since yesterday? Let's tackle these now. Let's know what's going on. If you have a daily scorecard as a business, if your business is working on that daily level, that's a great time for everybody to see it. Only discuss it if you have to, if you need to, if there's an on-fire problem. But this meeting is task-oriented, a morning briefing of sorts. Then we've got the weekly 60, maybe 90 minutes. We're going to be problem solving. We're going to be looking at major task initiatives, bigger than things on fire. We're going to spend time every week looking at specific problems, specific challenges, specific growth opportunities we can work through. But here's the key in this meeting. Start with a quick round robin. Don't come in with a preconceived notion. Don't come in with your idea of what the agenda needs to be. Hear what your team members are struggling with, and then define the agenda. 1, maybe 2 problems you can work together collaboratively to solve, to overcome, hurdles or barriers you need to move out of the way and push past. Let's take our weekly meetings to the new level. And if something big picture, long range, strategic comes up, you've got to put that in the parking lot. And that is for our monthly strat plan meeting. We're going to take a little bit longer, maybe 90 minutes, 2 hours, once a month, track our progress on major goals. Look at the strategic plan. Look at our strategic initiatives. What big things are we working on to take those meetings to the next level? Don't get into the minutia of the tasks of what Jane or Joe or John are doing. Hold those till next week. Hold those till tomorrow morning's daily 5. But your strat plan meetings got to stay at a high level so that your team can keep moving the ball forward. You don't want to be caught in the race. Brandon Suba talked in the last hour about that ever ongoing challenge. Am I working in the business? Am I working on the business? Our weekly 60, our daily 5, that's working in the business. Our strat plan meeting every month is working on the business. And once a quarter, every 12 weeks, you've heard me talk so many times about the power of 12 weeks. If we think about a 12-week year, what can you do in 12 weeks? You can accomplish a lot in 12 weeks. In fact, we're going to talk in the final segment today about just how much you can do and the power of 12 weeks as you start the new year. So every 12 weeks, once a quarter, get away, unplug, step away from the daily grind, change your physical environment with your team, go somewhere else, and have a conversation about the big picture. What have we accomplished in the last 12 weeks? What do we want to accomplish in the next 12 weeks? Let's make sure we are moving this ball forward at a high level. I think this could be a game changer for your business. I truly believe that we are having the wrong people in the wrong meetings at the wrong times. We're having too many meetings. We're having unproductive meetings. I had a coaching client yesterday tell me he has been in meeting after meeting that he walks away and says, even to his supervisor, what did we accomplish in that meeting? We accomplished nothing. Don't have any more meetings just to have a meeting. If you want to talk more about this, explore this more, let's talk about the Meeting Slayer, our new generation leader workshop on helping you slice and dice your meeting schedule into a well-oiled, productive machine. All right, one more segment. We're in the home stretch in 2020 and on the new generation leader today on IBGR. All right, one more segment here today on IBGR. Thanks for tuning in to the new generation leader. I hope you download the show notes today. Reflect on stress, resilience, build a resilient team as you head into 2021. Improve your virtual team communication. Don't have any more bad meetings. And in this last segment, this is going to be my favorite part of today's show, the 2020 reflection retreat as you get ready to jumpstart a big, bright 2021. I can't wait for this. We'll be back in 2 minutes here on IBGR on the new generation leader. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the New Generation Leader on IBGR. We are wrapping up 2020. What a year this has been. And as we have talked all season here in this third season on IBGR, on this show, the New Generation Leader, we've been talking about people strategy for your business in the digital age, helping you build a toolbox of the tools you need to lead your people. And one of the great tools that I've just been on a high this week after working through this process is wrapping up my year. And I still got some work to do. I've got meetings over the next couple days before we round out this year. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to take some time before the clock strikes midnight on January 31st and we head into a new year. Spend some time looking back at what 2020 has meant for you. Find some time to reflect and get ready for 2021. It's like wrapping up the year with everything that you need, putting everything in order so that you can hit the ground running when 2021 starts. I had my own personal 2020 reflection retreat this week, a mini retreat, if you will. And let me be real. It was not anything fancy. I didn't go anywhere fun. I didn't find a quiet cabin in the woods for my 2020 retreat. I was right here in the same chair that I've been in for almost every other meeting this year. But I reflected on the year. And here's my favorite part. It seems so strange, but I've done this the past few years. I go back through my calendar. This is how I start my retreat. Unplugging, taking some time off of email. Here's the key. Before the year ends, take some time. And I started by going back through my calendar. I went day by day, week by week, all the way back to January 1st, 2020, back when we thought 2020 was going to be a big, bright, hopeful year, turning a new decade, a new outlook on the world. 2020 had such a feeling of excitement back on January 1st. I went all the way back to the 1st, and then day by day, week by week throughout the year. And I looked at a few things. What client engagements did I have? What meetings did I have? What conversations did I hold? Who did I work with? What did I get to do? Both professionally and personally. I included things like coaching my girls in softball this summer and fall, some of our day trips, week vacation this summer, the opportunities we had to get away, and the key meetings that I had. You know, I am an introverted person. I don't naturally go out and have a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations, a lot of connections with people. So when I looked at the year, I thought, okay, 52 weeks out of the year, I maybe had 15 or 20 connections, 15 or 20 meetings. And you know what I found? I had 66 connections. Virtual coffees, as I've been calling them here in 2020, most of them. Some of them happened before COVID hit, some of them afterwards. So I listed out everybody I connected with, and I thought, you know, that was a lot of great conversations. Some of them maybe not exactly the right people that I needed to connect with, but hey, some of them were incredible connections. Then I also listed out one of my goals for this year was to read a book a week. I, quite frankly, fell off the wagon sometime early in COVID and didn't read probably from April through June. But I have managed to read more than 39 books this year. And I've kept a running tally and a list. And one of the things that I realized in reflecting on that was I read so many books. I was constantly taking in information, more and more information. But I wasn't spending a lot of time creating, thinking, putting new thoughts down on paper or typing them in. And so that's one of my changes for next year is I don't want to read so many books. I want to read really good books, really key books. If I don't want to finish it, I'm going to set it down. I'm not even going to finish. I'll go on to one that will really impact me, really be helpful, really serve me well. Then here's the other thing. What was I hoping to do that I didn't do this year? I'm not quite sure I identified any of those items. I do have a list here somewhere in the office of some of the great ideas I had. I sketched out the whole year. I got John Acuff's finished 2020 calendar, and that was great for about the first 6 weeks. And then we just kind of went off the rails. And as I sit here looking at this, there were some things that I wanted to do. But really, if I think about it, I pivoted, I adapted, I adjusted in the midst of COVID and did some things that I wasn't expecting to do. You know what I didn't set out to do in 2020? Write a book. But I wrote a book. I didn't set out to host a 100-day leadership summit with 2 colleagues virtually over the course of the summer, but we did. We pivoted, we adjusted. We had some great conversations as part of that group. And then I took a look at what should next year look like. Honestly, I struggle a little bit with this. What do I want the year to be? So I set some realistic expectations. I didn't set pie in the sky expectations, but I set some goals, some visions, some ideas of what I wanted the new year to look like. And then I think about, how can I get started with a first 12-week plan? What do I need to put into action for these first 12 weeks? And this is where my goals and my weekly schedule and the first quarter of the year collide. So one of the things that I also spent time doing was answering the question, what rules do I want to set for my weekly rhythm? What I've realized is, if I have certain kinds of meetings, certain kinds of tasks at certain times of the week, I'm not very effective. Kerry Newhoff is a big proponent of this in his High Performance Leader Academy and workshop. He has some great content on High Impact Leader course on setting out your schedule, that your schedule reflects your energy so that you can be your best self at the best right time. So I looked at that. Here in the last quarter of the year, I've had a few client engagements first thing on Monday morning. You know what I'm not great at? Coming out of the weekend and bringing my best first thing on Monday morning. So as I set out in the first 12 weeks of 2021, Monday morning is not going to be for client meetings. I'm going to focus on my work, what I can put on the schedule, how I can be productive, work on the business, build the business on Monday mornings, and set that high priority thing first thing on Monday morning. What's that for you? It could be any number of things, but finding those right times during the week that you want to do key tasks and building that in, blocking that out. And you know what I thought? This is a new process for me. For a number of years, I've had certain midweek lunches blocked out on my calendar to connect with family, to connect with my wife or one or both of our kids, or certain times of the week that I want to set aside for different meetings or different conversations with people. But this schedule to start 2021 is going to look different for me. I'm not setting out to do the entire year just like this. I'm going to set a goal of working through the first 12 weeks like this. Then I also refreshed my weekly task chart. Now, I mentioned early on in the show that I am not task oriented. I need some tools to help me. And I need this one-page sheet that I've created always in front of me. I keep it on top of the notebook that I carry with me so that I can track my major goals, remind myself, here are the major initiatives I want to work on. Here's who I need to write notes of follow-ups to. Here are my tasks. Here's what I need to put into the parking lot for next week. And here are some new ideas I want to think about. This isn't where I brainstorm new ideas. This isn't where I write articles. This is about tasks and ideas and putting them down so that I can do something with them later. So I refreshed that. And I've created the sheet that I'm going to start 2021 with. And then as I look at my goals for the new year, I even assigned goals to each quarter, a major initiative, a major project I wanted to work on. I set the goal that I would do certain goals and certain projects in certain quarters of the year. This way, I don't think come the end of January, wow, I have done nothing on 3 of these projects. I come to the end of January and say, okay, how's my first quarter major initiative going? Or do I need to adjust and for the next 8 weeks of this quarter, pivot to a different major initiative? Do I need to put this one in a different quarter? Thinking about things in that 12-week rhythm will help us accomplish things of significance without putting them too far down the field. This is one of the keys as you look forward to a big, bright, bold 2021 and what you want to do. Breaking up into bite-sized pieces will help you build the kind of year that you want to have. What I love about this process is come January 1st, I will be ready to roll with a new vision, a new plan, new goals, a fresh start. I don't have to do it then. I've done it now in wrapping up this year. What a crazy year it's been. But at the beginning of this year, I would never have guessed that I would be wrapping up 2020 on air on IBGR. So thanks for listening this season. Thanks for listening this year. And I'm looking forward to what's ahead in 2021. Happy New Year, friends. Thanks for listening to the New Generation Leader on IBGR, wherever you have been watching. I hope you will have a great end to 2020. Join us again in 2021 as we kickstart a new season of shows here on the New Generation Leader, people strategy for your business in the digital age. Hope you join the conversation. I would love to connect on LinkedIn or Instagram. Reach out anytime. Let's connect. Let's grab a virtual cup of coffee wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to seeing you and hearing what you're up to in 2021. Thanks for watching the New Generation Leader today on IBGR.